protected. All right. So, for better understanding, let me take excerpts from that story. All right. Now, a team of United States military specialists have been stationed in Nigeria, which basically means they are on ground, boots on the ground, as it were, to help in the battle against Islamic militants. Now, the top U.S. commander for Africa revealed this yesterday. General Dagvin Anderson of U.S. Africa Command. He said the move came after recent talks in Rome with President Bola Tinubu, who in late December 2025 green-lighted American airstrikes in the country that targeted Islamic militants. Now, the deployment of the American troops came as daredevil bandits reportedly killed more than 25 people in the Faskari local council area of Katsina State. And it goes on. It says, now, though the details of the attack are sketchy at the time of the reports, this paper, The Guardian, learns that the bandits stormed the community in their numbers and shot sporadically to scare residents. Well, this incident is coming on the heels of peace deals entered into by over a dozen council areas and repentant bandits, with Faskari being among those that had also entered into the deal. Well, General Anderson, speaking during a virtual news conference from AFRICOM headquarters in Stuttgart, said he and Tinubu concurred that both countries needed to coordinate their efforts in West Africa. He added, and he's been quoted as saying, that that has led to increased collaboration between our nations to include a small U.S. team that brings some unique capabilities from the U.S. to augment what Nigeria has been doing for years. And I think we have had some really good positive movement there. All right, so that is excerpts from that particular story. So,
it's really scary that at this time, they only reported the one in Katsina. I think there was another attack that claimed about 20 people. So in all, we are looking at 50 casualties in just one day. And unfortunately, we have resigned to fate to the point that we feel that, well, it's just number. Those days when we were growing up, when Afghanistan, Iran was boiling, if they say 10 people were killed, it comes to your brain that how can 10 people be killed just once? But today, if you hear 200 people killed at once, 50 people killed at once, it just confine it to figures and put it in your data, you know. And it's really baffling, and it's really, really so sad. But the point is, whatever it is, from what we have read now, it appears these are people that are just bunch of criminals. And they should be treated as criminals. One, there shouldn't be any negotiation with these people. Two, amnesty for them should not be contemplated. They are out to instill terror and against defenseless civilians. They should be taken out at all costs. And if the U.S. government is coming in, it's a welcome development. Whatever anybody says, I don't think I will care, because this is life. We're talking about human lives that cannot be replaced. Once it is gone, you can't replace them. If you do your arithmetic, even in January alone and up to today, you'll be talking about 1,000 people that have been killed all over the country. Not mentioning the ones that died in the kidnappers' den that are never reported. Only last night I saw a woman holding words of note, begging people, sharing account details, just to pay ransom to rescue our son. I mean, how long can we continue like this? We just have to do something. And if anybody from outside the country, wherever, is coming to support us, to help us, I think I welcome them.
Boots on the ground, Chukuma.
Yes, boots on the ground. I was very attentive. I paid attention, very closely when you were reading the report, the writers and the report, and I picked quite a few things. One, I would like for the U.S. to amend their stance, in as much as we admit, I personally admit that there is Christian genocide in Nigeria. I wouldn't like when America says they are coming to protect Christians, stop Christians from being killed. Nigerians are killed. Muslims are also killed. So I want for them to expand, their governing mission when they are coming to Nigeria. Protect every Nigerian, both Christians and people of other faiths. Now that said, I picked out another thing too, the General Anderson that said where there are light footprints, coming in from Africom. Africom is situated in Stuttgart, Germany, so they are operating from there because one, Nigeria didn't give them space. When they told Yar'Adua said, Yar'Adua wanted to bet Nigeria and said, no, don't give them space for Africom. So they had to go to Egypt, refused, they got to Stuttgart. Now, that said, General Anderson said, well, that the president agreed when they met in Rome. Nigerians were never told that the president went to Rome. We said he was going to Europe, an unknown destination. That is to tell you that our president is working. Our president is working. I mean, he went to Rome to engage Africom. He had a word with General Garrison, and he said, well, it's important that you bring light footprints in Nigeria to help us solve this problem. So when sometimes the president travels, people should not just think that the man is taking a holiday or what. I mean, he went to Europe. We didn't even know that he went to Europe.
I disagree with you.
No, but that's my opinion. Let me finish.
No, I won't let you finish.
No, you let me finish. No, you let me finish because
I disagree with you
because
if the president is doing this on behalf of Nigerians should be aware.
No, you are
Nigerians
aware.
are not aware, then there's a problem.
No, on vacation. He was on vacation. Not even a working vacation. It was his Christmas vacation.
No, he was in Rome. That was where the picture came out with him and Paul Biya. The
Rwanda.
President.
Kagame
Yes.
said I never went to Rome.
That was when he was in Rome.
Oh, Kagame said I never went.
Yeah,
to
but that
Rome.
was when the president was
No,
in Rome.
it wasn't in Rome. It was in Paris.
Okay.
It was in
Breakfast
Paris. So
picture.
yes,
Yeah,
the breakfast picture.
But
Kagame
was
said
doctored now.
no. There was no meeting there in Paris. The president never
Okay.
went. He was in Rome. So what?
But isn't it concerning? Isn't it concerning that the president will have such a meeting that will authorize America to,
security meeting?
security meeting, yeah.
Okay, so
and
intelligence.
then Nigerians are not aware.
Yeah,
that
but
you are doing this
Nigerians
on our
are aware
behalf.
now. Nigerians are. I mean, there are so many meetings that Trump, conducts on behalf of the American people. That American don't necessarily know. If it's shrouded by intelligence, when they need to be classified and all of that. What I'm trying to say is that the president is working. But now that said, I have a problem, with this light footprint. Why I have a problem with it is that in places where America has had footprints, it never ends well. That is just my concern now, because it's going to get into some kind of guerrilla warfare between them and the bandits, the terrorists. So what level of footprints are we going to see? Is it going to be limited to intelligence, where the Nigerian military have to be the ones, to get into the field and all of that? We might have Americans here on ground providing intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, and all of that. I don't have a problem with that. But when they get into battlefield, it becomes a problem because it will get to a point where even the victims themselves will turn against the people that came to rescue them. We have seen it happen in several places. That is just the area where I have concerns.
All right. Barrister Darlington.
My take is that we have not been doing enough in this insecurity matter. Seriously. If we have done the needful ab initio, we will not be where we are today. People were, seeing this thing from a, different perspective, religious, ethnic, tribal. I said there was a time when I go to some TV station, I was not allowed to even mention Fulani herdsmen or Buhari during those days. And that was when this thing was festering. They did not allow anybody to call out those people who were behind it until they became very bold. When you know that people are afraid of you, you tend to act with impunity. You tend to act with boldness. the people we are afraid of, you know, and within that period under Buhari, they became something else. And today, look at where we are. It's even worse now, because up to today, I don't know why President Tinubu cannot call out these people. He needs to make a very categorical statement. Frown at what is going on. I mean, frown at it. Frown at it. Because when IPOB was disturbing the society, he said something. Everybody had it. He mentioned names. So why is it that he's just with what is going on? Even there was a time the Northern elite called him to come and impose state of emergency there. He refused. He didn't bother. So what is he trying to avoid? He can't talk about what is going on here. Eh? America had to be telling us what they discussed with our president. Is he not supposed to come and tell us these things? So how long will he continue to be afraid of these people?
Barrister, the president has been condemning the killings of Nigerians. So what
I said, call out the name. Somebody is doing the killing. Look, when he went to Benue, even without the evidence, he couldn't mention. It was the Totif that told him, this is not a Fulani, this is not a farmer header clash. Eh? The man had to educate and tutor him on what is going on. You mean he doesn't know?
At that point, what did you expect the president?
He should have give a time warning that this thing must stop.
But he did.
Eh?
He did.
I said, call out the name. If you are the one stealing, tomorrow you go to this place and see. The other way, people are reporting. They say this man. Won't somebody come to your parents and say, won't you use your son to stop stealing our goods or taking our things? Okay. By the time they know that you have been called out, won't you think twice before you go for another mission?
Barrister, when the president went to Benue, the first question he asked was, the perpetrators of this crime, have they been arrested?
Who are those people? Who are those people? Mr. Okoro, who are the people? Up to today.
Barrister, you tell us now. If you have the information.
I don't like the way you are doing this. Please don't tell me. He knows the president. He knows all the security details.
He knows. He said that.
Look at what he said. This is what I don't like to hear. Please, after you said they are interjecting on you. Why are you saying this now? A whole president doesn't know the security situation in his country.
Are you aware that 9 of the people that committed the?
I said to call them out. Who are those people?
What do you mean?
Who are those people? Who are those people? Who are those people? They don't have a name, Abi. They don't have a name. Mr. Okoro, they don't have a name. I don't like the way you are doing this thing. I don't like it personally.
Barrister, hold on. Barrister,
I said call them out. Call them out. Call the people doing it. Call them out. Because that's why you call other people out. That's what I'm saying here. Call them out. Tell their leader to run in your children. They are the one behind all these things. And what is wrong with that? No, call them out. You saw coup plotters now. They brought out their name. They read out their name. We don't know where they came from. Is that not something to do? Why you asking this one? Nobody want to talk about them. Nobody want to discuss about them. Nobody, and with that they are becoming very bold. Every time you be talking as if somebody doesn't know what he's saying. I don't like you are even in fact you are not helping the president. We are here to help him to do the right thing. The people disturbing us, call them out.
So when you call them out, when you call their names.
Yes, you shame them. Yes, so when you call them and shame them.
For instance, I say, there is a Darlington Agomo disturbing us, and then what? And then everybody goes.
Won't I think twice? If you continue to call out my name, Mr. Moses, won't I think twice before I will now go and do any other thing? Tell me, is it not calling out and shaming them? That's what I'm saying here.
You see, for us here, we can only advise government. We can't impose ourselves on government. And apart from that, Toji Bello, his name has been mentioned more than 1 million times. He's still perpetrating his act.
So?
And some of them out there that we have mentioned their names in the media, they are still perpetrating those acts. But the important thing is that government should be sure-footed in making sure that these people are reined in. You see, for me, it's a delicate war to fight, unlike the conventional war. Because the thing is turning to something else. It's taking a new shape. Before now, the likes of Gumi will go to their den, have discussions with them for the optics and all that. But where are they now? Where do you locate them? They have become nomadic. Today they strike in Benue, tomorrow they strike in Plateau, another day they strike in Katsina. So how do you now locate them? So we should just encourage those who want to assist to continue to assist and let the government be sure-footed about what they intend to do and give our military the marching order to take care of some of these people. I think that's the only way out.
Moses, do you know the implication of America, a foreign power coming into your country?
That's actually what I wanted to
Do you know the implication that tomorrow you call yourself a giant of Africa? So what are you giant of?
We don't know how many they are.
Whether they are one, whether they are
maybe
one.
it's for security purpose.
Whether they are one,
if you look at,
it is an insult, an embarrassment of the highest order.
The report here, we also told that Defense Minister Christopher Musa confirmed that a team was working in Nigeria, that's a U.S. team, was working in Nigeria, but did not provide further details.
No,
the details Nigerians are asking for is, how many are they? In what capacity?
That one is.
Are they here to provide intelligence, observe and provide intelligence, or are they here to execute? By execute, I mean carry out, action. So we are not told the capacity in which Nigeria is working with the U.S.
Moses, let's not be too emotional about this. You see, security issues are not for public consumption the way you want it. It's not going to happen. And an example was when we announced the procurement of drone. What happened the next day?
They used it on us.
So what are we talking about? You see, for me, the other day, I was in the PCR this thing, and they were arguing about something about Boko Haram and the insurgency in the Northeast. I called the man that is the spokesman that is on the battlefield. I called him, I put him on speaker, and he told them certain things. It's not everything that you come on air to tell people. Even as a media outfit, even when you have such information, you don't despair.
Apart from that, I would like to say something briefly. When foreign nations, the way international system, the way international relations is structured, nations do intervene in other nations when there are problems. As a matter of fact, we're even lucky that we have developed countries, in part of Southeast Asia. America has military bases there. America has a military base in South Korea, between Nigeria and South Korea. I think South Korea is even 10 times.
They have one in Saudi Arabia.
10 times, better than us in many respects. So nations do intervene when it becomes, and what they do is to call up the RO2P, the responsibility to protect concept, and all of that. So America coming here is not about shaming us and that because we are giant. And by the way, we are not any giant, So that's what I just.
All right, let's look at another story before we go to the politics.
Do you know that a missile is more than the budget of defense?
Well, let's touch on this headline. No retreat on reforms. Tinubu tells World Bank. FG says $1 trillion economy target depends on sustainable roads. So, President Bola Tinubu has assured a World Bank delegation led by Managing Director of Operations, Anab Jedi, that Nigeria's bold economic reforms are irreversible, framing them as essential for harnessing the nation's vast potential amid its youthful population and arable land. Meanwhile, the federal government said its ambition of building a $1 trillion economy depends largely on the sustainability, safety, and reliability of the country's road network, warning that failed and poorly maintained highways pose a direct threat to economic productivity and national growth.
Moses, when you read the headline initially, I was enthused, but when you started, I was enthused, but by the time you read the World Bank angle of it, I sunk, I would have preferred that our president tell Nigerians, look, no retreat on the reforms. It will give me courage. But when he said he was addressing World Bank team, I said, oh, here we go again. So practically what the president is telling us that, look, it is World Bank prescriptions. They are the ones prescribing these reforms. And we know that over time, reforms that they have prescribed for us in Africa, normally don't end well for us. Either because, we don't know how to implement them, or we just do their bidding. So I would have preferred that the president tells us, Nigerians, no going back on these reforms. That would have given me hope that, look, the president has thought through, seen through, and probably knows where he is working to where he's headed in these reforms. If you go back in history, few instances, when a nation, wants to self-reinvent, they always pass through a period of self-denial. It happened during the Great Society in the U.S. under Franklin D. Roosevelt, and the other time, the one that Lyndon Johnson, all those periods. If you go to China, during the Great Leap Forward that failed, they had to reinvent themselves. It was not World Bank that made all those prescriptions for them. The leader at that point decided, look, though we might suffer today, but our future looks better. So I would have preferred the president to say, well, these reforms might be hard now, but Nigerians, please follow me. Let us walk through all of these. But now that he's telling us that, now that Garden is telling us that he was not telling Nigerians, he was referring to, addressing the World Bank team.
That rubs you up the wrong way.
I mean, it gives me, that hope is apparently lost.
Okay. But do we have another reaction to that headline before we move to the next one?
We have surrendered to outside powers, so let us continue like that. In economy, in security, in morality, in everything, it is the outsiders that now advise Nigerians and our president what to do and what not to do. And you are telling me that something good will come out of it. I want to see how.
Okay, a headline from the Punch here says, bandits kill 30 in fresh Kwara, Katsina attacks. Well, let's go to the big story on the cover page of the Punch.
Electricity subsidy, federal government to deduct 3.6 trillion naira from federation accounts as FG begins sharing of power subsidy burden with states, local governments, 1.2 trillion naira to be deducted yearly.
All right, we might need to take some excerpts from that story. It's on, you can find that one on page 2 of the Punch newspaper.
The federal government has proposed a 3.6 trillion naira deduction from the federation accounts to fund electricity subsidies in 2026, 2027, and 2028, a move designed to distribute the financial burden across federal, state, and local governments. Let's see. The move represents a decisive step by the federal government to confront the rapidly mounting electricity subsidy debt, which has severely constrained liquidity across the power sector, while also strengthening fiscal transparency by making subsidy obligations explicit and better accounted for. Yeah.
Okay.
Mr.
Who
wants to take a shot at this?
Subsidy is not a bad idea if properly implemented. Even there is agriculture subsidy in the US as we speak. And at some point there was a glut. Myself and Chukuma were discussing it when we were coming this morning, that they produced more than enough protein that the US people can consume. And I also recall that there was a time they produced more rice than can be consumed, that they were dumping the rice on the IC, inside the IC. So now, you see, this subsidy thing, if properly managed, I consider it as a way of helping the poor. But unfortunately, between the GENCOs and the DISCOs, there is a kind of corruption going on there that is so opaque. For instance, the intent of at the level of the DISCOs, the intent of the subsidy is to make sure that those who are low-income earners, and the stratification is so easy now, unlike those days when we were growing up, when everybody built around the community. Today, people isolate themselves according to their pockets. That's why you have eyebrow estates and ordinary communities. So it's easy to locate the ones that can afford and those ones that cannot afford. And what happened is, for instance, if the kilovolt per kilovolt of electricity is 300 naira, those in Bamsi will be told to pay maybe 100 naira, and then government subsidizes 200 naira per kilovolt. Now, when it comes to Band B, they are paying like 200. So the subsidy on Band B is less than that of Band C. So they will pay 200 and government will subsidize at the level of 100 naira per kilovolt. Then when it comes to band A, which some of us here also enjoy, you pay maybe 250 per kilovolt, and then the subsidy that government gives is just 50 naira, which I consider fair enough. But unfortunately, even when you talk about subsidy, these discos, in their corruptive tendencies, take this chunk from the public. For instance, how would you explain a 2-bedroom flat and not a factory being given a bill of about 200 naira, 1,000 naira in a month? And if you ask that particular household, how many hours do you enjoy in a day? It will over between 6 and 8 hours out of 24, and you're now giving 200, and in most cases you are helpless because nobody wants to go through the whole hog of challenging them in court and all that, writing petition and all that. So you find out that they have made nonsense of the subsidy ab initio. In the area of GenCos are supposed to produce energy and then transfer to the transmission company, who now takes it, distributes it to the distribution company for consumers. But in a situation where you have the GenCos claiming that they have generated 7,500 megawatts, even when you know that the national grid, the transmission lines, you cannot wheel up to 5,000 on these transmission lines as it is today. How do you now say you are producing 7,500, which means the shortfall that will be wasted, that will not be used, will now be accounted for, and then government would have to pay?
There's a report I saw somewhere that government is asking states to pay for the shortfalls in power. I saw a report somewhere yesterday.
Shortfall, I don't understand.
That the federal government is asking states
yes, now
to pay for power.
That's the meaning of this money they want to withdraw from allocation.
You see,
back allocation.
Another area that we have to also look at is most state institutions don't pay. You recall what happened at Air Force Base in Kenya recently? When how can a place like Air Force Base not pay, and their bill accumulated to about 4 billion naira? So when you aggregate that in all barracks in Lagos, if they are not paying, and then you also feel that other institutions of government are not paying because they feel that they have the cover of the government, and these people are in business to make profit, they will ask for their money.
All right.
Look, when subsidy was removed, please, because we need to go to the foundation of this problem.
Subsidy on fuel or electricity?
Subsidy
on
fuel.
Okay.
We were told something, that removal of this subsidy will enable us to power all other infrastructure. That was the aim of removing subsidy, because they told us that the subsidy was the problem of underdevelopment in Nigeria. Is that not true? Now, to tell you that this is a lie and falsehood, since you remove the subsidy, are you better, Moses? These are questions Nigerians don't ask. And it pains me so much, because when they tell this lie, they believe people like me to support and agree so that I'll be a good boy. You told us that subsidy was the bane of Nigerians' economy, this and that. The poor are, in fact, they are not benefiting. Mention one single benefit of subsidy removal to the poor.
Barrister, I can't recall the government saying that when they removed subsidy, they were going to power other sectors with subsidy money. What I recall, the consistent argument has been, well, that Nigerians deserve subsidy, but that only a few people are enjoying it. Because, Barrister, hold on, because a few people were now making money unduly out of it. Because the issue of round tripping, over invoicing, and all of that, And they said that, well, it was meant for the poor, but at the end of the day, that the poor people were not enjoying it. But I didn't hear the government say, because they removed fuel subsidy, they are going to have free light, free education, and free all of that.
They said roads, hospitals. I was in the studio that
what they said was that the money that was stolen the monies that were stolen will now be plowed back to infrastructure development.
So what?
And so they didn't say they were going to power other sectors, that Nigerians will stop paying electricity.
So this other one they are talking about infrastructure, what is it for?
Which one? Barrister, did they tell you that you will stop paying electricity bills?
No. Mr. Ogoro, please, let us be
Did they tell you that you will stop paying hospital bills?
Let us be specific here.
Okay. Yes.
When you said that the subsidy removal will bring a dividend and benefit to Nigerians, I am now asking you, mention one out of all the things they promised us that subsidy have solved. What problem?
Good. Now, Barrister, you are still missing the point.
I'm not missing
At what point did they tell you that because they removed subsidy that you stop paying electricity bills?
Did I say that they say you should stop?
No, that's what you said. That they were going to power other sectors.
Power other sectors. Did I mention electricity?
What brought this issue now is the electricity subsidy.
I don't like the way you put words in my mouth. I don't like it.
Barrister, we are on open air and we can replace this thing.
I don't like the way you put words in my mouth.
We can replace this thing now.
You don't put words in my mouth unnecessarily. When I say something, be specific about it now. I ask you a question. Mention one single benefit Nigerian, both the poor and the rich, have enjoyed from this subsidy removal.
Barrister, I'm not a spokesperson of government, but I can go on and on.
There are many things that have.
Like what?
I can go on and on.
Like what?
For instance, the major one is today what governors are receiving is almost like
9 trillion for how many years? What did they do with the 9 trillion?
What did they do with it?
Have the governor spoken to you?
Yes, they have acknowledged. They said they are receiving more money. Enugu state governor, Abia state governor.
What happened to the inflation they are suffering? Was it like this before the subsidy?
But they are working.
Please, let me hear.
These governors are working.
The inflation, work on it. Work on the inflation, please.
Barrister, MBS told us that, well,
when minimum wage was 30,000
headline inflation has dropped.
When minimum wage was 30,000.
Barrister, there is no fund.
Do you know that your 30,000 then is far more beneficial and more valuable than 70,000
was sold for 62
than 70,000 naira?
Are we going to return to 62 kobo?
What are you telling me?
Are we going to return
you are looking at the amount, but you are not looking at the inflation that has.
Barrister, it's not just I'm not the one speaking. I'm saying that governors admit receiving more money, and these governors are working.
On a lighter note, I'm sure most of you would have seen the story yesterday where South Africa cut off electricity supply.
That's not on a lighter note. That's actually
okay. On a heavier
note,
the Nigerian High Commission in South Africa. I don't know if you saw that.
I mean, it's not strange now.
And they actually tweeted it.
Not just tweeting it. In most of our missions in Europe, we are owing rent.
Okay. So let's move away from that story. But
also, the federal government has released monies for that.
Yes.
I'm not their spokesperson, but I'm just giving us information.
Up to today, you don't have ambassadors designated to their primary country.
Well, appointments have been made. But nominations have been made. They have been screened. We have one going to US. We have one going to Turkey and France.
2 to 3 years into your administration, no ambassador. Well, 2 to 3 years. Mr. Moses.
The presidency has addressed that. So we'll see where they will deploy and who will go where. Barrister said something yesterday that it was quite instructive. He said, look, we are running concurrent budgets. And if Nigeria's High Commission is being cut off, if power is being cut off, just High Commission in a country, and they say it's because there's no money for that, then the question is, what happens to the concurrent budgets? What happens to those?
If I have to answer you directly, they have told you because there is no money. Not that because we are running concurrent budgets.
They said it because the budget has not been passed. That was
okay,
the
word.
Because 2026 budget has not been passed.
Okay, that's what they said.
Yes.
Now, if that is what they said, we'll now begin to question them. Now, the budgets that are running concurrently, does it look like monies were not provided for Ministry of Foreign Affairs or what? Have they exhausted their budget? That is the question we should start asking at this point.
All right then.
Why will you give them budget when there's no ambassador?
Let's take the.
But the offices are not short now.
Let's take the fight now to the Senate, Barrister. Let's take the fight to the Senate because you're in the combative mood.
I can see.
Senate delay stalls electoral reforms as group warns of risk to democracy, and the riders will provide more light. Holds second closed session on Electoral Act bill, keeps outcome secret. National Conscience Platform warns stalled reforms eroding trust. Real-time results transmission. Tougher penalties hang amid delayed decision. Group flags risk of one-party dominance. Urges nationwide push for reform. Karimi, that's Senator Sunday Karimi, seeks revenue formula review. Cites weak state accountability. Basically, asking for more monies for the federal government. Delifanimo.
Please, rewind, let me ask.
I should take the headline again.
Yes.
Okay, I'll take the headline again. Senate delay stalls electoral reforms as group warns of risk to democracy. And then the riders. Hold second closed session on Electoral Act bill. Keeps outcome secret. National Conscience Platform warns stalled reforms eroding trust. Real-time result transmission, tougher penalties, hang amid delayed decision. Group flags risk of one-party dominance, urges nationwide push for reform. And Karimi seeks revenue formula review, cites weak state accountability.
Let's treat the electoral reform in isolation of revenue sharing formula. Because the revenue sharing formula has not benefited anybody positively since they have been adjusting it either in favor of the states or the federal government. So now, the electoral reform. Chukuma said something last week. He said, is it possible for somebody to call the police to come and arrest him that he has committed a crime in his own house? But the criminal will always want to escape justice. How would you expect, except we are very, very tenacious about these electoral reforms? The current Senate and House of Reps, I doubt if they will have the courage, the muscle to tinker with the electoral laws as it is today. Because the majority of them are contesting next year's election. And some are also looking up to going to higher offices, like a senator wanting to be governor, a House of Reps member to becoming senator. And they use the loopholes of these laws to achieve their aims. So how do you expect them, unless Nigerians force them through advocacy, through enlightenment, and through forum like this, to let them know that it is incumbent on them to ensure that those laws are amended, especially the ones that would give loopholes. For instance, when they were amending the electoral law and giving opportunity for people to defect on one condition, that there's a crisis or faction in a party, they forgot that factions and crises don't manufacture themselves. They are the players who manufacture them. So it now became very easy for anybody that wants to decamp from one party to the other to just foment trouble, even if it's going to be momentary. And when you go to court and say that person should lose his seat, the chairman of his ward will say, I'm the chairman of this ward. Another person will come and say, no, I'm the authentic chairman. So you have validated his carpet crossing. And now, when the Beavers and IREF came, we didn't know. Even the smartest lawyer didn't know that until when it started playing out, that it's just an operational tool and not something that has to be done compulsively. So now we are talking about electoral reform. Up till February, they are dilly-dallying, they are going on recess. What makes you think that this thing will see the light of day? Except we Nigerians, we hold them accountable and insist that we want this thing to be done. And don't forget, by the time they buy time, the new amendment states that between election day and swearing in, there should be 185 days. So now imagine if they are passing this law in November, and can they roll back the hand of the clock at that time?
Maybe it will take effect in
2037,
2038, you know. So and then you can't exceed your expiry date as an elected official. So it becomes a big problem. So we have between now and the next, probably the next 2 months to amend this law if it's going to be operational for the next election. Because you have to roll back the election date to November this year. If you want to calculate 185 days between election day and swearing in on May 29, if you roll it back, that's about 6 months or more to the election and to the swearing in date to allow for litigation.
All right.
Okay. But
and then if you must conduct election in November, then campaign should start in August. 3 months, clear.
Okay, so these things need to be done.
We have only just now and March to do this electoral reform.
Okay, my position in the electoral reform has been very clear, and I still maintain it. You know, we can be as legalistic as you want. What makes it work is the human factor to it all. The three most legalistic nations in the world: United States, Russia, and Israel. But people still find a way to beat that law. You know, so it's a human factor to it. And I keep asking this question. In our history, we are told, and I know that at least the ones that I have observed, I know that the freest, you know, most credible, fairest election ever conducted is the 1993 presidential election that produced Chief M.K. Abiola as the winner. So if we say, did we have an electoral act there? If we had an electoral act, why don't we just go and bring it and replicate it in 2027? And all this problem of electoral act amendment and everything will end. Because our goal, you know, eyes on the ball is what? To ensure that we have free, fair, and credible elections. Okay. No matter how you build these legalities and the legalistic corners and all of that, I mean, okay, look at the electronic transmission of results. I said it here on the other day. NBA, how does NBA conduct its elections? Electronic means. I was beside my wife, let me repeat it, when she voted. You know, she just opened the app, voted, and said, okay, I voted for the NBA president, the person I want to be president. And it worked, no complaints and all of that. So it can work if we have a people that want it to work and not try to maneuver, you know, circumvent issues and all of that. If you have the best laws and people have a way to, you know, circumvent those laws, I mean, then it's useless. So it's a human factor thing, as far as I'm concerned. If Nigerians want to do good by ourselves, we can always do it.
You see, when we destroy our polity, our nation, by our own hands, we should not blame anybody when later in life, what we did begin to haunt us. The way our constitution, our laws, and our electoral system have been flagrantly flattered by this administration is so annoying. Very, very annoying. I was even thinking that people should look into that direction because as I talk to you now, campaigns have started all over Nigeria, and things that are unheard of are happening, and nobody looking toward that direction, nobody talking about it. It's all about electoral reform, electoral reform. Why can't the man at the helm of affairs say, look, this is what I want to? Because I know that Yar'Adua took a stand. He was the one that started this thing. So why can't we deepen it? Look, pressurize the man at the helm of affairs. This is what we want. This so-called strategy and whatever, it will not help us. It has never helped us. Because by the time we destroy all the institutions, what will now remain? What will now remain? Tomorrow will come. Whether you like it or not, tomorrow must come. And then by that time, we will not even remember who started the problem. We will not. It's like this Agboro menace in Lagos. We have forgotten how they came, who started it. It's unfortunate, seriously, the way we behave in this country. Very, very unfortunate.
Well, let's move away from that story now. Quickly, as we wrap up, there is another story here I'd like us to quickly react to. One is the Lagos Assembly orders immediate stop of Makoko demolition. Now, the Lagos State House of Assembly has intervened in the escalating crisis involving the waterfront communities of Makoko, Okwafon, and Donguro, ordering an immediate cessation of all demolition activities by the state's agencies. Now, the directive follows a tense standoff between residents and the state government over the controversial expansion of a demolition zone that residents claim has far exceeded initial agreements. In a move to de-escalate the situation, the House has invited community leaders to a formal meeting to address the grievances and negotiate a way forward for the proposed $10 million waterfront project. There you have it. Chukuma.
Moses, is a lot. It's quite a lot. Well, the issue of demolitions, right?
Yes.
Makoko. Stoppage.
To demolition.
To demolitions, yeah. It's temporary. It's temporary. Because at one point or the other, the government will have to go back and clean up those areas. I am for it, you know, and well, a lot of people see me, you know, my take on issues, they say I'm a hawk. I might be a hawk because I'm of the realistic perspective in international relations. You know, they struggle for power and all of that. In things like this, something has to give. I asked a question, very pertinent question the other day. Now, these places, are they people's native lands? And the answer was, well, it is not. People just came and settled. And, you know, where did they come to settle from? They came from different places and all of that. So at the end of the day, that place belongs to the government. And I said, in a few occasions I have traveled outside. I've seen waterfronts. And you don't even feel like moving away from them. You want to sit back, relax, and all of that. Even water that you see in the drainages and all of that, they are as clean as. But that is not what we see here. And we cannot, because of empathy, because of compassion, we will not do what is right. Those places have to be cleaned up. If the Lagos state government has said, well, we are halting it, trust me, it's going to be a temporary thing. Either this administration or another administration will have to come back.
They may even halt it as a result of a campaign that is close by.
That is close by. But they will definitely have to come back because it is something that needs to be done. But my take again is, well, government can as well try as much as they can to ameliorate, you know, to help these people resettle elsewhere. But it's not obligatory on the government. It's not.
Look, Moses, there is nothing wrong if you want to reform or reclaim Lagos, but you do it with a human face. What is the primary purpose of government? Protection and welfare of the human being there. Is that not true? So where is the welfare here? Tell me.
Barrister, you will not necessarily create problem for yourself and expect the government to come and clear that problem for you.
Please, hold on. When those people started putting up those structures, you mean there was no governance in Lagos State? There was no governance. Nobody saw them, Abi. Is it possible? Tell me now.
No, but government has also given notice to people. Well, you are occupying these places illegally and you have to move.
If government said that nobody should build here today, Mr. Okoro, Moses, they will take measures to make sure that not even an ant will cross that road.
No, they will not take measure. They will ensure that if you are there, they will come to tell you, well, you build illegally.
They will make sure that you don't even lay a foundation, not to talk of erecting anything there.
Barrister, government can't be everywhere at the same time.
No, they will.
Government can't be everywhere at the same time. So people need to
by the time you put up a foundation today, tomorrow they demolish it. You put up tomorrow, they demolish it. You put up the next day, they demolish it.
People in those waterfronts, do you know how many times they were asked to not to erect?
Please, somebody collected money from these people and allowed them to put up those things there. Go and challenge me on that. Somebody collected money and allowed them to put up those, maybe not this government but previous government.
Okay.
So why not blame those governments?
Barrister, you're a lawyer. Barrister, you're a lawyer. And one of their payoff lines is, well, ignorance of the law is not an excuse. So why you are making
who told you that ignorance? When
they're ignorant.
No. Government official collected money. Are you not listening?
And you paid ignorantly.
No. When the government official come to tell you that you should pay for this and that, and you pay, is that ignorance?
Without due process.
What a government official came to you. You say, what is due process here?
All right, then, thank you very much.
Tell me that nobody collected money from them there. Tell me.
Nobody can tell you that right now.
So what are you not telling me?
Thank you very much for your contribution. Thank you very much, Daily Fanimo, as well as Chukuma Okoro, who makes a comeback later tonight at 6 p.m. on Political Lens.
All right, I'll go with my guest from Abuja,
All right.
who's a politician, and will travel around the country to
All right,
bring
there you have
interesting
it.
political stories.
There you have it. Well, thank you very much, Jane Ogoye as well, my colleague. Together we've done this, and we'll be back here tomorrow, which come, of course, bright and early on VOP this morning, and then segue into newspaper review. I am Moses Humphrey, wishing you a beautiful day. Bye for now. Join us as we drive into the world of politics through insightful interviews with prominent political figures, both serving and former governors, ministers, senators, legislators, party chieftains, activists, and analysts. Get first-hand information into the decision-making process